All right, welcome to another episode of Gin and Truth. I'm the captain of this ship, Robert motherfucking Reed. I got a tumble full of Hendrix and mindful of thoughts. Let's go. All right, gang, let's jump into this shit. How you guys like the close up? Yeah, you guys get to see my ugliness first thing in the morning. Yeah, definitely another early morning edition of Gin and motherfucking Truth. You guys know the drill. If Uncle Bobby's not doing any sleeping, he's going to do some screaming. Gang, the meat of today's rotted sandwich, Christian persecution. Gang, I made a tweet maybe 5-6 days ago, still getting a shitload of traction. And it was me, and I know it's crazy, right? Kicking the actuals and the motherfucking factuals. And that is, there is no Christian persecution. There isn't any. Not in the United States, there's not. Stop it. Stop it. Gang, holy shit. The Christians came out of the woodwork to tell me how wrong I was. Well, you'll never guess what. I'm not. I promise you, I am not. Right? Again, Christians, you have what Uncle Bobby has officially diagnosed as emotional Munchausen syndrome. You do. You guys want all the attention that comes with being sick, a minority class, persecuted, even hurt. You want all that attention. What you don't want to do is shoulder any of the burden, to pay any of the cost to have one of those labels, right? Again, you guys, and again, it's part of your origin story, right? Well, if Jesus died, the Bible even says so, right? If you aren't getting your ass whipped, you're not doing it right. Well, here's the thing. It's not that you're getting your ass whipped. You guys are mistaking emotional, spiritual, and sometimes physical self-defense for an attack, right? Again, every time I see those videos, I always comment on them. When you're 33,000 feet in the air, stuck in a flying tube, and some guy gets up and literally starts screaming his Bible lesson because he knows you can't jump, right? You are stuck there. And when people like me make the obvious comment, like, that's all kinds of fucked up. You should see what Twitter does to those comments, what Christian on Twitter will do to that comment. Talking about how we're persecuted. That's not persecution. Right? You are in a shared space. You know good and goddamn well there's no escape when you are on an airplane. And that's when you decide to spread your gospel message to literally a captive audience. That's not persecution. That's called feedback. Right? When I sit there and literally in 2020, at least in 2023, because it hasn't happened in 2024. Hopefully I've missed those dates or maybe they've stopped. I just want to go to the grocery store. I want to make some groceries. I want to get in my car and I want to come home. And sometimes I can't even do that because there's a group of Christians that sit outside the grocery store where I shop, and they will wait for you to come out so they can yell at you. They're on the intersection, that curb, because they probably can't be at the grocery store door, but they do. You're just sitting there, and that light, those two certain streets, it is notoriously long. And so they'll just sit there and scream at you, call you all kinds of names. Choose heaven or hell. And it's like, come on. And when I get home and I rant on a video or on Twitter about it, you're not being persecuted. This is called feedback, Christians. You want everyone to know your gospel message. You guys love to act like this is some secret. It's not. We all know what you stand for. And you know what? We're not as stupid as we smell. I understand. You either jerk Jesus off or, according to you, I'm going to get tortured forever. And you call it my choice. I understand. It's not a complicated message. But I get to give you feedback. If you get to tell me what you think, that door swings both ways. There is no Christian persecution, not in the United States. And again, every single time I have to bring up this topic, what does a Christian do? They carry their monkey ass across the 7 seas and tell you how hard it is to be a Christian in China, in Afghanistan. I'm like, I don't know if you realize this, but you're in Biloxi, Mississippi. You are in the Bible Belt. And you have to reach so far. I would say it's not even in your zip code or in your state. You have to go across the Atlantic to find a case of Christian persecution. You guys know you got it good. I'm not even going to bother to look it up. We are not going to look up on the people's iPhone of knowledge. Christians, you're the ruling class. You're the majority class here in the United States, period, end of story. You are at minimum 60% here in the United States. You cannot run for governor. You can't run for mayor. You can't run for president, vice president. You can't be, not without claiming Christianity, you can't. If you guys knew what actual persecution really felt like, and I'm just going to keep saying Christians, but hang the asterisks. I'm talking about American Christians. You aren't being persecuted. But if you guys actually felt what it meant to be persecuted, you wouldn't claim this anymore. Because actual persecution blows. It's systemic. And when I say systemic, because I'm thinking about some of the responses, right? And people will bring up these isolate incidents. And sometimes there was that shooter, I'm trying to remember where, and the person just so happened to be trans, which was sitting on some bullshit, right? They push that narrative for a reason, to show you how fucked up, trans people inherently are. Well, you'll never guess what? They're not, right? And if I'm not mistaken, that moment took 2 lives off this planet, for which I have no jokes. May Poseidon bless their journey. Where was I going with that? Oh, yeah. It was at a Christian school. So they'll say that was Christian persecution. I'm not going to lie. I'm pumping the brakes on that one. I am. Because I wonder how much shit that trans kid had to eat. Why did my screen just freeze up, gang? Come on. I'm going to keep talking. There you go. How much shit did that trans kid have to eat at the hands of their Christian leaders? You're an abomination. You're a sodomite. You're a faggot. You're confused. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not. And I'm not minimizing the passing of those 2 people. But in that situation, I absolutely do wonder, was that kid pushed? I do wonder that. You want to know why? It's kind of like Kevin Sorbo, right? Kevin loves to sit here and talk about, and he tells the same story every time. First and foremost, he acts like he was this in-demand actor, like he was the splicing of Denzel Washington and Gene Hackman, like he had the acting range of Joaquin Phoenix. He doesn't. He was Hercules, right? Then they spoofed the movie 300, total shit show, wasn't meant to be serious. Meet the Spartans. Then he goes off and does, Left Behind and God's Not Dead. He wasn't this in-demand actor, but he acts like he was. And he loves to tell the story how one day his agent just came up to him and was like, fuck you, Kevin, I can't work with you. You're a Christian. All right? And I was like, I don't buy that. Because I wonder how many times Sorbo went to a set and just started blasting everyone, right? Yeah, acting is an art. And stereotypically, there's a lot of gay people in the arts. I wonder how many times he preached the gospel word to some gay person, telling him, well, it's not God's bet. He loves to sit here and just, what do you mean Sorbo is a Christian? Well, that's just sitting on some bullshit. Get his ass on the phone. We're going to fire him right now. That's not how it works. Right? You guys love to pick out these isolated incidences. Like they posted a video of some guy being arrested, right? Turns out he was sitting across the street from an LGBTQ plus rally. You'll never guess what he was probably saying, even though they don't show that part of the video. And from what it looks, the cop was like, dude, you got to shut the fuck up. You got to shut the fuck up. Now, again, if it's good enough for us black people, it's good for everyone else, right? What do we get to hear as black people? Black people, right? Well, if you had only complied with the law. The cop told that pastor to shut the fuck up. Maybe he was disturbing the peace. Maybe he was saying something threatening. But he was given an order by the cops. And again, everyone loves to be a fucking internet Matlock up in this bitch. A legal expert, right? Well, you'll never guess what? They slapped the handcuffs on his monkey ass. And they love to say that that was persecution. It's not persecution. Even if he was wrongly arrested, persecution is systemic, right? These isolated incidences, because again, for every single last one of those isolated incidences, right? Again, how many presidents? You cannot be an atheist and run for president of the United States. You can't do it. You cannot be VP. You cannot be governor and be an atheist. You can't. They ran that poll, right? And I remember seeing this when I first realized I was a non-believer. And they, God, what was it? These are the groups that least share my idea of, of the ideal America, whatever the case. Number 2, I think it was number 3, gay people. Number 2 was Islamic followers. Number 1, basically, the most hated group in this country, atheist. Right? You guys, you give me a break. Donald Trump is a fucking Christian. He's hawking Bibles now to raise money for his legal defense fund. But you guys, you just want to jerk off to the label Christian. Oh, he's a Christian. He's a Christian. So much, in fact, that you guys believe that Donald Trump is one of you. And again, since Jesus won't come down here himself, I have to judge you on his representatives, Donald Trump. Right? You can show me isolated incidences, but what you can't show me is the systemic behavior that is what you claim to be Christian persecution. It's not. And again, I would love to switch places. And I've been saying this since my Lenovo days. And that is 7 t-shirts. I will wear 7 t-shirts that identify me as a Christian. Christians, you wear 7 t-shirts, that's one a day for a week, that identifies you as something other than a Christian. Again, a Muslim, an atheist. Then let's come back and talk about our like experiences. Again, emotional Munchausen syndrome. You guys want all the attention that comes with being sick, but you don't want the actual disease, right? And again, I've always said, think what you want to think, believe what you want to believe. But when you say what you want to say, you got to know your audience, right? If there's one thing that I give Donald Trump credit for, and I'm hanging the asterisks because I'm clearly not talking about all my white brothers, but for my white brothers that were looking for this, he gave it to you. And it's this unearned sense of victimhood, right? That it's hard now to be a white man in America. No, it's not. And maybe by your standard, and again, hanging the asterisks, I want y'all to hear that. Maybe by your standards, this is hard. This is persecution. Well, let me tell you something. Keep that shit over in your country clubs, and while your daughter's walking the aisle on some debutante ball where it's $5,000 a fucking ticket, the Blasey and the Glavinoids, family money, go fuck yourself. Because I've had white dudes say that to me here in Austin, Texas, right? And you're just like, okay. And you thought that was okay to say to a middle-aged black dude born and raised in the South? And they'll say things like, well, Robert, white men are the last group that you can make fun of. It's like, that's what you're worried about? Being the punchline of a joke? Whatever you do, do not look up the stats on police brutality in this country. Give me a fucking break. Whatever you do, do not learn actual U.S. history. And by history, I mean as of just a couple weeks ago, right? We still, black people, I told you, I did a video on it. The Crown Act, that is legal protection. What grows out of my face and out of my head, I need legal protection to do. I do. There's a kid 2 hours from my feet right now, Houston, Texas, who's been suspended from school because he grows black people hair. Can't have that. And you're worried about being a punchline of a joke? Okay. Yeah, in your circles, oh my God, there's nothing worse. Right? But Christians, that's you. Right? Oh my God. I mean, we have to take down the 10 commandments because that's not constitutional. Oh my God, we're being persecuted. You're not being persecuted. You're being asked to follow the same set of rules that everyone else does. And that's what you guys call persecution. Getting feedback on your message. That's what you guys call persecution. Again, where's the systemic behavior of mistreatment? Don't worry, I'll wait. No, I won't. Please go fuck yourself. By the way, no videos. We're just going to rap. It's just you guys. It's me. Let's do this. We're going to have a conversation. And by conversation, I'm going to vent. Let me get this shit off my chest because that's what I do. Back on topic. And I always got to hear, we all got to hear about how hard, again, obviously, I'm not an actor, not a singer, I'm not an entertainer. I don't know what it means to, do those things. And I hate award shows. I don't hate them. I'm just agnostic. Emmys, Oscars, Tonys, whatever the singing ones are. If you, in my 51 years on this planet, if you were to string all the hours, what the fuck? Okay, that I've watched award shows, you wouldn't get 60 minutes. I promise you that. But I've seen the clips, and the little bit I've seen, it's always the same. Because we always get to hear how hard it is to be a Christian in Hollywood. Last time I checked, Hollywood is still a part of the fucking United States. You cannot get on stage without saying, I want to thank my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Whether you're acting, singing, whatever the fuck, right? And I remember one moment, again, Christian persecution, Chris Pratt. Again, I'm agnostic on the topic of Chris Pratt, and I'm agnostic on the topic of whatever fucking award he got. I don't care. I guess he did something good, so he got an award. And I still remember because it became national news, and apparently I poked the sleeping bear by talking about it over Twitter. And he gets up there, and the first couple of minutes, it's just fart jokes and potty humor and shit like that. Okay, it's Chris Pratt. Then he starts preaching. It's okay to be a Christian. Don't be ashamed to pray. Read your Bible. All the things that Christians are supposed to say, apparently. Well, again, it's so hard being a Christian in Hollywood that a Hollywood actor stood in front of a bunch of his peers, other Hollywood actors, and preaches the gospel. He was getting a standing ovation from the majority of the fucking audience. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking, and I remember I tweeted out, oh, how brave you are, Chris Pratt. How hard is it to be a Christian? How hard is it to be a part of the majority and the ruling class? Oh my God. Gang, holy shit. People came out of the woodwork on Twitter. That was years ago to tell me how hard I was persecuting Chris Pratt. And I'm like, is that what you call persecution? Again, Christians, you guys are so used to just laying your dick on the fucking table. And when finally someone says, I need you to go ahead and get your dick off the table, you have the audacity to call that persecution. It's not, right? Again, this is just random. I'm thinking about every inauguration. Let me see. I've been alive for Ford, Carter, Reagan, Bush, Clinton, Bush, Obama, Trump, Biden. That's over 5 decades worth of presidents. And at least in my lifetime, and I'm quite sure before me, every single last one of them during their inauguration put their hands on the Holy Bible to take their oath. Not a single one of them. Again, it's not, you don't have to do it, right? There are members of the Senate and the House that when it's their time to take their oath, you can say, I solemnly swear. You don't have to say that, you believe in God or put your hands on a Bible. You don't have to do it. But every president in my lifetime has done it. Where's the persecution? Where? Right? I'm a former football player. In college, and in my incredibly short time as a professional, it was a church service. We had a chaplain everywhere I went. And you know what? It wasn't a rabbi. It wasn't an elder. It was, and in my case, it was a Catholic priest. Right? Again, where is this persecution? Where is it? Where can I go? Where Christians, you have to turn your head left and right and whisper, don't worry, I'm a Christian. Where? Again, as I'm getting ready to close this thing down, I remember at work once, I was on the train. I've told this story a billion times, but Uncle Bobby's back, so we're going to start rehashing some old shit. And I remember one of the ladies on the treadmill, my nickname for her was Angel. Why? She's a born again Christian. Boy, does she wear it on her sleeve. And I'm checking what everyone's doing. And I say something to Angel, and the lady next to her is like, why does he call you Angel? And she kind of bends over and kind of gives her the wink, wink. And she's like, it's because I'm a Christian. And the lady heard what she said, and she kind of winked back at her. And she's like, don't worry. I'm a Christian too. And I didn't say anything, but why are you whispering that? For as liberal as Austin likes to say that it is, it's still the fucking Bible Belt. Give me a break. Again, I just had to get this off my chest, but it's like, where is this persecution? Right? One more. Again, I remember that TikTok video, which I'm sure you guys have seen too. You know, it's this guy in this jailhouse setting. And he's literally like, swing low, sweet chariot. And the caption was, where will you be when Christianity is made illegal? If that day ever comes, my bones will be dust. Give me a break. And you know who interrupted that TikTok video? A priest, a literal Catholic priest. And he rolls up a piece of paper and kind of acts like he's spanking someone on the wrist with a ruler. And he's like, stop it. And he acknowledged, yeah, there are places in the world, China, where you are persecuted for being a Christian, but not here in the United States. Okay, you know how fucked up a situation has to be where my monkey ass is agreeing with the Catholic priest? Okay, Uncle Bobby's only giving you one big motherfucking problem. So as a result, Uncle Bobby give you one big motherfucking solution. Non-existent Christian persecution in the United States. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Christians, you are the ruling class. You need to enjoy it. Again, if you guys knew what actual persecution was, systemic mistreatment, you would not be making this claim. But again, you guys want all the attention without paying any of the cost. You want all the benefits, quote unquote, of being sick, but you don't want the actual disease. I can go on for hours with this, but what's the fucking point? You're not being persecuted here in the United States, Christians. This is called equality. And I've always said, and especially when it comes to racial equality, equality is that thing that everyone loves to talk about, but not enough people want to participate in. It means you may lose your seat at the big table, right? We got to share. Christians, that's you. No, you can't have your 10 commandments on public property. Those are paid for with tax money. And if it comes down to using tax money, then it has to remain religiously neutral. You think I'm bullshitting? Look what happens every time we put a statue of Baphomet next to the 10 commandments. Watch how you guys lose your fucking mind. Well, you'll never guess what. That's how we feel about your bullshit. Christians, at the end of the day, I really think you should sit back and enjoy the ride. You are still in the captain's chair. You still are the lead dog, which means we are all looking at your ass. You're not being persecuted here in the United States. It is an insult to everyone else who lives under Christian rule. You can't jerk off in Texas. You can't have an abortion. There's a fucking church that doesn't pay property taxes every fucking 1,600 yards. Give me a fucking break. Christians, at the end of the day, you run this joint. Fucking enjoy it. All right, gang, the big guy's held you long enough. He's signing the fuck off. Gin and Truth, let's go. Gang, that one was short. It was sweet. It was to the point. Christians, you are not being persecuted.